Hello and welcome to episode 208 of the Clean Energy Show. I'm James Whittingham. Brian is on assignment. Doesn't say he's not here, because this is a special interview episode where we talk to Steve Mann from Bloomberg. Bloomberg Intelligence released its 2024 EV survey, which takes a deep dive into the vehicle buying intentions of prospective auto purchasers in the United States. The research shows that despite charging obstacles and affordability concerns, U.S. battery electric vehicle penetration is expected to reach 25% by 2030. Now, that's not what previous projections had predicted. It's not what I see happening, but I'm just a podcast host. Steve is an expert, and they've done this research through a 1,000-person survey. Prospective auto purchasers who already own an electrified vehicle are incredibly loyal to BEVs, that's battery electric vehicles, with the report finding that 93% would stick with their current powertrain for their next purchase, compared to just 34% of gasoline vehicle owners who are deciding to opt for an electric vehicle. Steve Mann is Global Lead Director for Auto and Industrial Market Research at Bloomberg Intelligence and the lead author of this report. He is talking to us today from Bloomberg's Princeton, New Jersey office, which, by the way, is powered by solar. They're working towards 100% solar, and it's chock full of EV chargers. Steve, welcome to the podcast. You've been in the automotive sector for a long time now.
Yeah, I've been I grew up in Windsor, Ontario.
Did you? Well, hello.
Yeah. So, hi. So, my dad was in the auto industry. I got into the auto industry. I worked for GM for like 10 years before, doing equity research. So, yeah, I've been looking at the auto space for more than 20 years. This is, what's happening to the industry today and what's Tesla doing is just revolutionary. Because when I started with the auto industry, we always thought it was like old tech, nothing's going to change, some boring technology. And Tesla comes along and all the stuff that they're doing, not just on electrification, but, with FSD, with autonomous vehicle, making the car smarter, just basically turn everything upside down in a good way. Now it's becoming a high tech segment of the economy. And the other thing that they're doing, I don't think it's fully appreciated, is the manufacturing. Some of the stuff they're doing with, we call it design for manufacturing, which is basically, designing the parts in a way that you eliminate the number of parts. You also eliminate the number of processes, in turn you cut costs. I actually read about that stuff when I was at university studying in internet. And now they're putting in practice. So it's not fully appreciated. I don't think everybody knows about what they're doing. And, that's why they're the only EV maker that's profitable, other than a couple in China. China's a little bit different. They're all also vertically integrated like Tesla is. China also has the advantage of lower labor costs. While Tesla operates globally, they have some advantage by having a plant in China, but not as much as the Chinese. So look, I just bought an EV myself.
Did you?
I got a Chevy Blazer.
You did?
Yeah, I just got a Chevy Blazer.
Well, that's very interesting to me because I've talked to several Bloomberg people and none of them have owned EVs. So I wonder just how close to the experience that they are. What do you think of it as a first-time EV buyer?
So far so good. I'm just so impressed. So apparently the Chevy Blazer, the EV one, is fully redesigned. It's not the same as a gas.
Right. It's built from the ground up.
And, I've driven European cars before. I'm not going to say who, but they always felt kind of steady on the road. They really hugged the road. And, I've driven a lot of American cars before when I was at GM, but the new Chevy Blazer EV, it actually feels like driving a European car. I don't know, because of the weight of the car. It just hugs the road. It's really quiet, right? Not quiet, not because there's no engine noise. They designed it so well that they cut out a lot of wind noise.
So it's almost like a luxury car in that sense, eh?
It actually felt like a luxury car. Feels like a luxury car. The interior feels like a luxury car. So I was pretty impressed by it. I had to get used to it a little bit because like letting off the gas pedal, it slows down the car a lot more than a gasoline car would.
So one pedal
So-
driving, is that what you're using?
No, so they have the option of regenerative braking, like a harder regenerative braking. So if you turn that on, once you let go of the gas pedal, it slows down significantly.
Right.
Like you're
Right to a stop, right?
right to a stop. But not the the other option is to turn that on and just, it's supposed to drive like a regular car, but it's still when you let go.
There's still some regenerative braking there.
There's some regenerative braking. So that, that's something to get used to. It's not difficult to get used to. But I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't think EVs is going to be around, but I actually don't think that way. I think the ship has sailed for EVs. I think it's here to stay. The argument is really about how big does it get, and it really depends on country. Culture makes a big difference, and that's part of the survey. You kind of see 9% of the 9% of the people we survey who intends to buy a vehicle in the next 12 months are planning to buy an EV, a battery EV. About a quarter or even more so will think about a hybrid. And it's I'm not surprised by that, because I think in North America, you have a lot of people who have owned many vehicles in the past, and they're used to the lifestyles that the gasoline car provides. So there's a lot more education that has to happen for the consumer here. But I'm sure there's a lot of people like myself. I think once you try it, I think.
Do you live in a house or a condo where you can charge at home?
I live in a condo. I do have charging points in a condo, so it's not an issue. I also have, fortunately, here at work, I have there's about 45 chargers out in the parking lot.
So you could just charge at work if you wanted to, right?
I can charge at work and charge at home. On the weekends I can charge at home, so I don't have any issues with charging. But I think the other thing that what actually prompted me to buy an EV today is that there's more affordable EV. Like the Blazer is more affordable. I know the Model 3 and Y are more affordable. The Model 3 and Y, wasn't really for me. I had some experience sitting at the back. I have kids. It's not that easy to get in and out sometimes at the back. So I waited. The Blazer came in. It's more affordable. And I think that's the other issue in North America too. If you compare to China, there's fewer affordable EVs today. And what I'm guessing, the reason why we only have 9% of the people we survey looking for EVs, because there's not a lot of options out there.
Yeah.
Right. I think if we do the surveys over the next few years, as more and more EVs come online, more affordable, budget-friendly EVs come online, I think that number will grow.
How much does the average consumer know about EVs? Did you find that in your survey that there was lack of knowledge or misinformation or things like that are perhaps slowing down adoption?
Yeah, I think there's there's a lot of rhetoric out there in terms of not enough charging points. There's range anxiety, and I don't know if that's 100% true, because a lot of people haven't tried an EV, right, to really experience it. Like even though I had mine EV for a week, I don't have a range problem. I guess I'm fortunate. I have charging stations around me, so I don't have that range anxiety issue. And I use it to commute to and from work, drop kids off. My wife will take it.
How does she like it?
Oh, she loves it. She thinks this is a great idea because we don't have to pay for gas anymore. You think this is a great idea because we have an EV and a gasoline vehicle, and our plan is to for long ranges we might take the gasoline vehicle because we have 3 young kids. It's not convenient for us to make stops and for a few hours to recharge a vehicle, so we'll take the gasoline car. But for day-to-day short commute, maybe even a weekend trip somewhere, we'll probably take the EV out.
I
think
go ahead.
I think it's about educating the consumer more than anything. I think just personal experience. I think if someone has the opportunity to try it, it may surprise them that it's actually versatile enough given the range it has now, like 250 to 300 miles.
Yeah.
It's really enough.
Did the reliability of chargers show up in your survey? Are people aware of that, or is it simply a lack of chargers that is on their mind?
It's mostly the lack of chargers. I think the speed of charging. I think it shows up in the survey. But again, lack of chargers. I mean, hopefully over time we'll have more. This sounds very similar to, I think, what happened in the early 1900s, right? There wasn't that many gas stations out there. It just takes time to build out. And honestly speaking, like, if you count, apparently I've looked at some statistics, you count the number of chargers that are available in the US, it's actually more than the number of gas stations that are available in the US. I think the location is important. Having it where it's convenient. We have, in our office, we had a number of chats. It's like, a couple of malls around where we live, they just started installing chargers. That would be a great place. People go in the mall, eat, shop, spend a couple hours there. That'd be a great place to get your car charged up.
Grocery stores come to mind as well, where you spend about
grocery stores, movie theaters. I would just spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in a movie theater. So it's just really not at the right place, I think. Home is a good place, but public chargers, I think there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done to make sure that they're at the right place, make it convenient for everyone.
In my mind, Tesla, when they started out, they wanted to advance the electrification of transportation as quickly as possible. Supposedly, that was their mission goal. And they knew that batteries were expensive and EVs were expensive, and they seemed to go to great lengths to, as you say, have that vertical integration in order to keep things as low priced as possible. Are the incumbent automakers capable of replicating that? Because they seem to have, different suppliers and different ways of doing things, and that maybe cannot meet that efficiency that China has and Tesla has. Do you think they'll come around and have cheaper EVs?
I think the legacy automakers are trying. It'll be very difficult because it's a paradigm shift for them, because for decades they're very used to outsourcing production method, and they have relationships with a lot of the tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, and they need to maintain those relationships because they're not only building EVs, they're building gasoline cars that actually needs that supply chain structure in place. So it'll be really difficult. But they have tried. They're trying, especially in the battery side. Like GM has the Ultium battery. It's it's pretty much vertically integrated. They own the mines all the way to the pack assembly and into their cars. Volkswagen is doing something similar. All the major automakers are doing something similar in the battery, because the battery is the most expensive part of the vehicle. It could be a third, as much as a third of the cost of the vehicle. So, that would be the first thing that they would vertically integrate. I think, with any new kind of technology, relatively new technology, and it was, with EVs that are just starting to gain traction and grow commercially, you need vertical integration. Just like Henry Ford did, right? He vertically integrated the Model T from mining all the way to the dealership, because he needed control of the design, the manufacturing process, so he can cut costs as quick as he can, and take input from consumers and make any necessary changes to the vehicle, so that he can build something that people want at the cheapest cost. And you can't really react that fast when you have multi-layer, multi-tier supply chain system where each tier requires certain amount of approvals and qualification of new parts, design, etc. That just can take years right? For
Right.
new change to go through. So it's I don't think legacy automaker can ever get to where Tesla is at, but it's a good start with the battery.
So you see 25% adoption rate in the United States by 2030, which is kind of lower than some previous estimates. Do you see an inflection point where things sort of tip and speed up, or is it going to be slow and steady?
I see the next kind of now, we're seeing a slowdown now, but I think we're going to see another pickup in growth probably in 2026 and 2027. Okay. And part of that is what I just said earlier is, we're going to have more affordable EVs out there, right? Tesla is going to come out with the Model 2 at the end of 2025. GM is going to come back out with a new Bolt,
right?
Below $30,000. All these cheaper models I'm talking about is actually below $30,000 US. Ford is also coming out with a compact vehicle. So yes, Stellantis already looking to introduce, and then Volkswagen's doing the same thing. So these are just some examples. There's more automakers introducing the budget-friendly EVs, and I think that's going to expand the addressable market. It's going to get people interested. Not necessarily buy one, because I think there are other issues. Affordability is the main issue today, right? Once we address that, there may be questions around do we need to look at charging, right? Is that the next thing? Hopefully by then it improves quite a lot that they won't be an issue. And then there's going to be other issues where can we improve the battery even more so we have longer ranges? So it's an iterative process where we're going to see improvement. But I think the next incremental, I don't want to say step function improvement, but we're going to see a reacceleration of growth probably in 2026, 2027. Yeah. The other thing is in North America, there's a reluctancy, especially in the US, to use Chinese components, Chinese batteries. And, you can't avoid that the fact that they are the most efficient in building EV batteries. They built the cheapest. They control a lot of a big part of the materials that go into the battery. So now that we're not sure if we should be using Chinese battery, what the U.S. government wants to do is onshore a lot of the production of EV batteries. And I hope that once they onshore the more of that production, like what GM and Ford is doing, it'll also bring down the cost of battery.
There seems to be a lot of advancements coming out of China with CATL and others this year. It seems like the batteries are getting better. There's new chemistries coming out. And there's also seems to be a glut. I think I saw a chart the other day with showing all the battery factories and the demand not being in sync. Like there's a lot more production coming online. If that happens kind of like solar panels did, and there's a glut of batteries, do you think that will help adoption by bringing down the prices of that 1/3 cost?
I think more so in China than here. I think political, on the politics side, politically, there's a lot of reluctance to use Chinese batteries and Chinese technology, and even buying battery raw materials from China. So I think that's why, in the next couple of years, we're going to still see relatively high battery prices in North America, because, we have to go to sources from, in Canada, in Australia, parts of Africa, basically quote unquote friendly countries for that material. And, they have to build these batteries here. I mean, it's too early to say if China is going to be totally cut out. There's still talks to allow certain things come in from China. For example, Tesla is actually buying battery manufacturing equipment from CATL. They're installing it now.
Yeah.
Because CATL also has improved the process of making batteries, so that is even cheaper.
So where Where does a Trump administration play into things if the America goes to a Trump administration? Will that slow things down?
I hope not. I think onshoring some of the EV supply chain is the right thing to do, and that kind of is what Trump wanted to do in his first term, was to bring back manufacturing into the U.S. and North America. With the inflation, he talked about the Inflation Reduction Act being too green. He was going to dial back some of the emission standards that's in place. But I still think that he's going to keep the part where, we're going to onshore battery production, because he does. I think we seriously do need more manufacturing. We do need more, more of the technology built here as a substitute to China for the long term. So I highly doubt he's going to cut that part of it out. But the risk is that now that President Biden has kind of extended the emission rule to 2032 to make it more stringent starting 2032. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump extend that even further out, and that would have an impact on EV adoption for sure.
I know that you don't think that there's a political will for Chinese products in the automotive industry, but they're coming on strong. They've got a lot of models and a lot of cheaper models. Do you see a pathway into America, into the United States, like Chinese vehicles assembled in Mexico and shipped in? Do you see that happening at all, ever?
I don't see Chinese branded cars being shipped in anytime soon. But, Chinese cars are being imported. Chinese made cars have been imported into North America. So, for example, just looking at it today, is the Buick Envista.
Uh-huh.
That is actually a car that they make in China.
Yeah, and in Canada, the Tesla Model Ys are made in China. So my co-host just bought a new Model Y, and
that's right.
So
Model Y, Model 3, it's made in China. I think the American automakers importing vehicles I think it'll be fine, but importing a BYD or Geely brand new vehicle and selling it in North America, maybe it's a little bit farther away.
Well, it's only been a little over 20 years since the Korean automakers came in. And I'm sure people were pretty cynical about their quality, and they did suffer quality at first. But my impression is that the Chinese brands are well designed, often with German engineers. And so I'm just wondering how that's going to affect the global auto market.
I think it'll be scary for the local automakers here, because they can definitely undercut a lot of the local automakers in terms of price. I mean, that
there seems to be some accusations about, billions coming from the Chinese government to subsidize BYD. I saw a headline about that the other day.
Yeah, billions in terms of various taxes,
right?
Like property taxes, subsidies on land, R&D incentives. Chinese companies actually pay, not just auto companies, but any kind of high tech company, they pay like half the tax as a non-high tech company. So they do get a lot of subsidies on that.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, Steve. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and congratulations on your new EV. I hope it goes very well for you. And if I get to talk to you again, I'll ask you how it went. So thanks a lot for talking to me.
Thanks, James. Thanks for your time.
That's it for this special interview episode. We'll be back midweek with another show. Take the time to contact us, cleanenergyshow@gmail.com. We are, of course, on social media as Clean Energy Pod, basically everywhere. And you could leave us a voicemail online at speakpipe.com/cleanenergyshow. You can find videos of our show on TikTok and YouTube and Twitter including special content not featured here in the podcast. The Clean Energy Store is linked in your show notes if you want to buy a t-shirt or a hat. Rate and review us on Apple or wherever you're listening to our show, and donate with the PayPal link that's there in your show notes. It helps us keep the podcast going. If you're new to the show, welcome, but remember, subscribe on that podcast app so you get new episodes delivered every week. We'll see you midweek with another regular episode of the show. Thanks for listening.